They say you don't see it coming. The moment someone decides you're too old to make your own choices, it doesn't announce itself. It walks into your study with a smile and a phone full of decisions you never approved. I didn't know that's what was happening when my daughter Rachel walked into my study with that smile. The afternoon light coming through the window caught her face just right, made her look younger, like the girl who used to sit in this same chair doing homework while I worked late, the one she'd been using since she was 6 years old. Wide, confident, the smile that said whatever came next was already decided. Dad, I've been looking at your accounts. Not asking, declaring. I looked up from my book. The room felt smaller suddenly. Retirement had given me time to read again, time to actually finish things without work emails interrupting every third page. You've been looking at my accounts, I repeated. Not a question, a clarification. Marcus helped me pull. The statements, Rachel said, sitting down across from my desk. Uninvited. Your portfolio is all over the place, no strategy. You're losing thousands every quarter just sitting in low-yield accounts. I closed the book, kept my finger between the pages. When did you pull my statements? I asked. Does it matter? She leaned forward. Use that patient voice people use when they think you're not keeping up. The point is, you need help. Managing investments at 72, Dad, it's too much. You know it is. She said it like the answer belonged to her. I hadn't given her access to my accounts. What does Marcus say? I asked. That you should consolidate, simplify. Let someone younger handle the day-to-day management. She pulled out her phone. Didn't ask. Just started scrolling. He's looked at everything. Says you're leaving money on the table with your current setup, probably tens of thousands a year. Marcus, her husband, financial consultant, drove a car that cost more than my first house. Looked at everything without ever asking me. How long has Marcus been looking at my accounts? I asked quietly. Rachel waved her hand. I showed him your quarterly statements, the ones you keep around the house. I never kept statements around the house. I kept them in my desk drawer, locked. I see, I said. The point is, Rachel continued, not noticing or not caring. Marcus can help, but you'd need to grant me power of attorney, just for financial matters. Makes everything easier. I can handle the paperwork, move things around when needed, optimize your accounts. She said it like it was simple, like signing over control of everything I'd built over 50 years of work was just crossing a T, dotting an I. Trust me, Dad, she said. That smile again. This is what's best. I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. She wasn't asking. She was telling me what was already arranged. For just a moment, I wondered if she was right. If I was. The old man holding on to control, he couldn't handle anymore. 72. That number had started feeling heavier lately. Sometimes I'd forget where I put my keys. Sometimes I'd read the same page twice without realizing. Maybe this was what good daughters did. Stepped in before their fathers made expensive mistakes. Before the world got too complicated for aging minds to track. The thought sat in my chest, heavy, uncomfortable. Then I looked at her phone, still in her hand, screen showing something she didn't think I could see from my angle. The blue glow from her screen hit the underside of her chin. A draft email, subject line, POA transfer timeline. Let me think about it, I said. Her smile tightened. There's not much to think about. Marcus already has the new accounts ready. We just need your signature. How long have those accounts been ready? I asked. A few weeks. We wanted to move fast once you agreed. Once, not if. Give me a week, I said. Rachel's expression shifted. Frustration, barely concealed. Dad, waiting just cost you money. Every day in those old accounts. 1 week, I said, firm, not angry, just final. She stood up. The smile was gone now. Fine. But Marcus is only holding the accounts for 10 days. After that, the opportunity closes. Opportunity, deadline, pressure, classic. I'll let you know, I said. After she left, I sat in my study for a long time. The silence felt different than it had an hour ago, heavier. Rachel had always been like this, even as a child. The smartest person in every room, or at least she believed she was, correcting teachers, explaining things to adults who didn't ask. That confidence had served her well in business, made her successful, but it also made her blind to the possibility she might be wrong. What I didn't say, what Rachel didn't realize, was that I'd been managing money since before she was born. What I didn't tell her was that I still read the fine print, every word. I sat at my kitchen table Monday morning, coffee going cold. The house was too quiet. Maybe I was wrong, but the tone in her voice didn't sound like concern. I picked up the phone anyway. This is William. I need to verify recent activity on my accounts. The representative pulled up my records. Of course, Mr. William. What dates? Last 3 months. Any inquiries, access requests, anything unusual? Keyboard clicking. Professional silence. Then, I'm showing 3 account balance inquiries from Marcus. He's not my advisor, I said, more clicking. Slower now. I see. The inquiries show authorization from account holder. Did you grant access? No. I understand. There's also a pending power of attorney document, filed 2 weeks ago, waiting for your signature. 2 weeks ago, before Rachel asked me, before she walked into my study with that smile. Send me a copy today. I need to see the records. I'll flag this for fraud prevention. Not yet. Just send. Everything. Every inquiry, every document, every access log for 6 months. That'll take a few days. And who filed that POA document? Papers shuffling. Rachel, listed as daughter and intended attorney in fact. Thank you. I'll be waiting for those records. I hung up. Rachel hadn't just suggested this. She'd already started the process. The smile. Trust me, Dad. This is what's best. Best for who? The documents arrived Thursday. Certified mail. 214 pages. I made coffee. Set up my reading glasses. My hands shook slightly opening the envelope. Not from age, from something else. Started on page 1. Account inquiries from Marcus starting 4 months ago. Not 2 weeks. 4 months. My coffee went cold while I read. All marked authorized by primary account holder. I wasn't the account holder who authorized them. Page 47. Transfer request. My accounts to Marcus's firm. Fees, 2.5% annual management plus 15% performance fee. Industry. Standard was 1% management. This was robbery. Page 91. The POA Rachel filed, not just financial. Full power of attorney, medical, property sales, everything. She could sell my house, make healthcare decisions, access every account, all without asking. Just for financial matters, she'd said. The document said otherwise. I documented everything, photographs, notes, then called my lawyer. Sarah, it's William. I need your help. Sarah, my lawyer for 30 years. William, what's going on? I told her. Slowly, methodically, sent the documents while we talked. Long silence when I finished. William, this is fraud, but none of it's legal without your signature. The POA isn't valid. I know, I said, but what happens if I'd signed? Sarah went quiet again. I heard papers rustling. Rachel would have full legal control. You could revoke it theoretically. But once assets are transferred, once decisions are made, undoing it gets complicated, expensive, time-consuming. What should I do? Confront her. This is fraud. Not yet. I need to know if she's done this before. William, 1 week. Give me 1 week to document everything. Then we'll decide next steps. Sarah agreed, reluctantly. I spent 3 days going through every record I had. Found something on day 2, my mother's estate, settled 5 years ago. I'd asked Rachel to help with paperwork. She was better with bureaucracy than I was. Just sign here, Dad. Estate tax forms, standard stuff. I'd signed. Now, looking at the actual filed documents, I saw something different. The estate, $340,000, most of it from my mother's house sale. Will stated 60% to me, 40% to my sister Linda. Should have been $204,000 to me, $136,000 to Linda. But final distribution showed $180,000 to me, $120,000 to Linda, and $40,000 in estate management fees. Paid to Rachel. For what? Filing paperwork. I called Linda. Question about Mom's estate. What did you receive? $120,000, though I thought Mom's will said 40%. Math seemed off. It was. Rachel took $40,000 as a management fee. She what? Did you see the probate documents? Rachel said they were too complicated. She'd handle everything and send my share. Helpful. $40,000 helpful. I'm looking into it. I'll call you back. I hung up and stared at the documents. This wasn't new. This was a pattern. Rachel had been doing this for years, taking money, hiding it in fees and paperwork and management costs. How much had she taken? Rachel called Saturday morning. Dad, it's been almost a week. Have you made your decision? Come over, I said. Let's talk in person. I'm actually pretty busy today. Can't we just... In person, Rachel. This afternoon. She heard something in my voice, something she hadn't heard before. Fine. 2 o'clock. She arrived at 2:15. Marcus came with her, uninvited. Hope you don't mind, Rachel said. Marcus can explain the accounts better than I can. Answer any technical questions. They sat on my couch. Rachel crossed her legs. Marcus set his briefcase on my coffee table, like they owned the space. Marcus didn't look at me once. He watched Rachel like a partner watching a deal close. I stayed standing. I looked into the power of attorney, I said. Rachel smiled. Great. Did you have questions? Just one, I said. Why did you file it 2 weeks before asking me? The smile faltered. I didn't file. I have the documents, I said. Pulled them out. Set them on. Marcus's briefcase. Filed April 15th, requested by Rachel. Full power of attorney, not financial only. Pending my signature. Marcus looked at Rachel. Rachel looked at the documents. I was just being proactive, she said. Getting paperwork ready so when you agreed we could move fast. And the account inquiries? I asked. Marcus accessing my balances for 4 months without my authorization? Marcus cleared his throat. Those were just preliminary. Illegal, I said, calm, direct. Accessing accounts without written consent is illegal. Filing POA documents with false authorization is fraud. Rachel stood up. Dad, you're overreacting. We were trying to help. Help who? I asked. Silence. Because I also looked at Mom's estate, I said. Pulled out more papers. The $40,000 management fee you charged. Never mentioned to me or Linda. Just taken. Rachel's expression changed. Caught. That was legitimate estate work, she said. But her voice was thinner now. Less confident. Legitimate work that you never disclosed. Never got approval for. Just took. I sat down. Finally. Looked at both of them. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You're going to leave. You're going to cancel whatever accounts you opened. You're going to never access my financial information again. And you're going to think very carefully about whether you want me to report the fraud. Dad, if you do that, you'll what? I asked. Sue me? Report me? Tell people I'm unfit to manage my money? Rachel and Marcus looked at each other. I let them sit in that silence. Get out, I said, quietly, finally. They left, but Rachel turned to the door. You'll regret this, she said. Not an apology, a threat. Rachel didn't contact me for 2 weeks. Then, Adult Protective Services called. We received a report of concern about your welfare and financial management. From who? Your daughter. She's concerned you're vulnerable to exploitation. I almost laughed. What does this involve? A welfare check, just to ensure you're safe and capable. I agreed. Called Sarah immediately. She's trying to have me declared incompetent. Sarah brought documentation to the welfare check. Bank statements, tax returns, everything showing I was managing fine. 2 social workers, polite, professional. They reviewed everything. Mr. William, you seem perfectly capable. I'm not sure why this report was filed. My daughter wanted power of attorney. I refused. This is retaliation. They both straightened. Not necessary to file a counter-complaint, I said. Just make sure your records show I'm competent. Case closed. But I knew Rachel wasn't done. This time, she wasn't coming for my money. She was coming for my mind. 2 months passed. Quiet. Then my sister Linda called. William, something's wrong. What happened? I asked. Rachel showed up at my house, said you're declining, getting confused, that you accused her of stealing Mom's inheritance money when it was actually legitimate fees. Linda, I didn't believe her, Linda said quickly. I called you right away. You're obviously fine. But she's calling other family members, cousins, aunts, telling them you're unstable, poisoning the well. Classic move. Thanks for the heads up, I said. What are you going to do? Linda asked. Document everything, I said, and wait. Wait for what? For her to make the next move. She did. 3 weeks later, I received legal notice. Rachel was petitioning for conservatorship, claiming I was mentally incompetent, unable to manage my affairs, needed legal protection, for my own good. The court date was set for 40 days out. I called Sarah. Time to end this, I said. I showed up to court early, Sarah beside me. Rachel arrived with Marcus and a lawyer. The judge reviewed the petition. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Fluorescent lights, beige walls, the kind of place where lives changed on paperwork. Ms. Rachel, you're petitioning for conservatorship of your father based on claims of mental incompetence and financial mismanagement. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. My father has been making erratic decisions, refusing help. I am concerned for his welfare. I watched her say it, watched her perform concern. She was good at this. The judge looked at me, weighed me with his eyes, looking for the incompetence Rachel claimed. Mr. William, how do you respond? I stood, calm, clear. Your Honor, I'm 72. I'm healthy. I manage my own finances. I have no cognitive decline. This petition is retaliation. Retaliation for what? The judge asked. For refusing to grant my daughter power of attorney, I said. For discovering. She'd been accessing my accounts without authorization, for uncovering financial improprieties in my late mother's estate. Rachel's lawyer stood. Your Honor, these are unfounded accusations. Are they? Sarah interrupted, stood up, placed a 3-inch binder on the table. Because we have documentation. The judge raised an eyebrow. Proceed. Sarah walked through it. Every page, every bank inquiry, every unauthorized access, the POA document filed before I was asked, the estate fee that was never disclosed. 45 minutes of methodical evidence. Rachel got paler with each page. The judge looked at her, not at her lawyer, at her. Ms. Rachel, did you file a power of attorney document before receiving your father's consent? The room went quiet. So quiet I could hear Rachel's breathing. I was being proactive. Yes or no? 2 words, like a door slamming. The judge stopped writing, just stared at her. Yes. Did you authorize Marcus to access your father's account information without written permission? Silence. Longer this time. Your Honor, I thought, yes or no? The judge's voice never rose. Didn't have to. Yes. The judge closed the binder. His jaw tightened. He didn't look at the binder again. Petition denied. Ms. Rachel, you are prohibited from filing any future conservatorship petitions against your father without substantial new evidence of incompetence. You are also prohibited from accessing his financial accounts. Is that clear? Yes, Rachel whispered. And Mr. William, the judge looked at me, you may want to consider filing fraud charges. This court can provide referrals. Thank you, Your Honor, I said. I'll consider it. We left. Rachel didn't look at me. I didn't file fraud charges. I did something else. I changed my will. Rachel had been set to inherit 60% of my estate, about $800,000 based on current assets. New will. She gets $1, legally binding. Can't be contested as an A. Oversight. Can't be argued as forgetting. It means I remembered. I chose. I decided. The rest goes to Linda, medical charities, and a scholarship fund. I also filed documentation with every financial institution I use. Rachel is flagged, cannot access, cannot inquire, cannot file documents on my behalf, ever. Then I sent her one letter. Rachel, you smiled and told me to trust you. I almost did. The records told a different story. I'm not angry, I'm disappointed. There's a difference. You'll receive $1 from my estate. That's intentional. It means I didn't forget you. I made a choice. Choices have consequences. Good luck. Dad. I never sent it. I just wrote it, filed it with my will, made sure Sarah knew it existed. If Rachel ever challenges the estate, Sarah will read it in court. Sometimes the quietest revenge is just letting someone live with what they tried to do. 6 months later, Linda came over for dinner. Have you heard from Rachel? She asked. No, I said. Have you? Once? She called, apologized, said she made mistakes. Did she explain what mistakes? I asked. Linda shook her head. Just said she was sorry for the misunderstanding. Misunderstanding, not fraud, not attempted theft, not years of skimming money. Misunderstanding. What did you say? I asked. I said I'd think about it, Linda said. Then I hung up. We ate in comfortable silence. You did the right thing, Linda said eventually. I did the only thing, I said. Trust but verify, Linda said. No, I corrected. Verify, then decide whether to trust. Rachel never got my money. She never got control. She got exactly what she tried to take from me. The truth, on the record, impossible to deny. Some people smile and say, trust me, because that's all they have. The records don't lie. And I made sure the records told the whole story.